Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judge Jeanine Pirro.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Heubusch. I have the honor of being the executive director of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation Institute. I want to thank everyone for coming this evening, and I also want to ask if you'll please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance in honor of our troops. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. Please be seated. If you'd like to know how to pack an auditorium with 1,000 people in near an instance, I have the answer for you. Invite Judge Jeanine Pirro to come and speak. Quicker than you can say, lock her up, or build that wall. Well, here you have it. The Reagan Auditorium is filled. Let me tell you, that's a testament to Judge Pirro. We have had former presidents of the United States up on this stage, presidential candidates, first ladies, foreign dignitaries, famous authors of famous books, TV personalities, network anchors, Fortune 500 CEOs, war heroes, and pro football quarterbacks, except for Colin Kaepernick. But few of them, very few of them, can attract an audience of this size so quickly. It's a testament, in part, I guess, to the power of Fox News. But Judge Pirro didn't just materialize before us as a legal expert and news personality on air out of thin air. She's come to us as a woman with a long and distinguished public service career earned the hard way. Now, by the hard way, I mean the crucible where personality and character and just plain true grit are forged in the hottest and most intense political fire in existence. That's something called the New York State politics. In a state known for its unforgiving, hand-to-hand political combat and tabloid press, Judge Pirro is a woman of firsts. She decided she wanted to be a lawyer at age 6 and never looked back. She got her start as an assistant district attorney for Westchester County, where she started the first domestic violence unit in a prosecutor's office in the nation. The first woman to prosecute murder cases there. She was also the first woman to serve as a Westchester County Court judge. Now, while some pundits have opined she might one day be appointed as President Trump's first female nominee to sit on the highest court in our land, boy, would I like to go to those confirmation hearings. It's in New York, where she was granted the title of judge for the very first time. Speaking of President Trump, one would be mistaken if they believe that his admiration of the star of Fox's hit show, Justice with Judge Jeanine, began when the program first aired in 2011. No. In fact, they have been close friends and supporters of one another for decades, long before he even considered the presidency, or he could tune in, as he most often does, to watch her program on Saturday nights. Tonight, Judge Pirro comes to us with another first in hand. This time, it's the #1 New York Times best-selling book, 6 weeks running, called Liars, Leakers, and Liberals. It is absolutely worth picking up a copy and staying after for her remarks this evening for her to sign it. I mean, given this week's new news about the president's well-known and long-held frustrations with Jeff Sessions, how many books do each of you have on your shelves at home signed by a possible future Attorney General? But don't take my word for it. Take President Trump's recent tweet, and I quote, "Our great judge, Jeanine Pirro, is out with a new book. It's fantastic. Go get it." Well, I did. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the Reagan Library author and judge Jeanine Pirro.
And you're quick, too. Let me take this book. Thank you. Thank you. I don't even need to be this tall. What do you think? Skinny up? Oh. Thank you. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so... Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. I'm shocked. I thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. I'm stunned. I really am. I didn't realize that there was a second floor here. And I didn't realize there were this many people in California that I had anything in common with. Thank you. Thank you. Who knew? Who knew? First of all, thank you, John. Thank you for that introduction. And let me say that I couldn't be more happy than to be here tonight at the Reagan Library. I am late, for which I apologize, but I can blame other Californians. But I look forward to spending time here even after the event is done this evening. I have always been a huge fan of Ronald Reagan. Huge. To even his funeral. And I will never forget, and I had it on my desk when I was a sitting DA, his horse with his boots backwards in the stirrups. And that was out of respect, of course, for him, and a recognition that he was a man who loved horses, who was into ranches. But I don't have to tell any of you that. You're here. The man was an all-American hero from beginning to end. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, as John indicated, my friend, Donald Trump, who I've known for almost 30 years, is someone that I never expected would run for president, but I'm not surprised. And it's almost as though everyone knew, from Melania to his sister, who is on the Circuit Court of Appeals, which is obviously one down from the United States Supreme Court, they both said once he announced he was going to run, that he would win. They had no doubt at all. And while the press and the media, pontificated about this man, everyone who knew the man knew that he could win. And he came to us at just the right time. We had come out of 8 years of an economy where the new normal GDP was 1%. We had just come out of 8 years where people were working 2 and 3 jobs to pay the rent, to pay their mortgage, to put their kids through college. We had just come out of a scenario where the fact that ISIS was out there, it was nothing more than a JV team. When the president couldn't figure out whether he could contain them, dismantle them, or destroy them, none of which he even did. We were at one of the lowest points in American history. When this guy shows up in his politically incorrect way, when it was for us a relief. He thinks the way we think. He even talks the way we think. It's almost as though he is us. And indeed, he spoke for the forgotten man and woman in America for whom no politician has spoken for since Ronald Reagan. The forgotten men and women who worked in the coal mines, who worked in the factories, who went from paycheck to paycheck. A billionaire, imagine, who understands what it's like to need security and an economy that allows them to take care of their families. Up to that point, everyone was establishment. Everyone had planned for decades to run for president. This man just said, like Ronald Reagan, although Ronald Reagan certainly was a governor when this state was great, he said, I'm going to run for president. Now, what's the similarities? Why do people say they're similar? Well, for me, they were similar right off the bat. They were strong men who had charisma, who had a certain magnetism, who could bring you along. They had both been, in fact, in the entertainment industry. Obviously, Ronald Reagan a little more, but Donald Trump had a #1 show for years. Both of them believed in the military. They believed in a strong defense. Our president, Donald Trump, $700 billion in the military. Ronald Reagan, a strong defense. Both of them, law and order, law enforcement, all of the things that you and I grew up to believe in. What's hard about this? Nothing. Just say what you're going to do and do it. Notice, I just said, just say what you're going to do and do it, not just do it, but we'll get to that later. Now, both of them were in their 70s when they became president. Both of them were divorced and amazingly hooked right into the evangelical communities because people saw that they weren't talking out of both sides of their mouth. They said what they meant and they meant what they said. There's a realism to these men. They're earthy. These are guys, and I know Donald Trump in a way that a lot of people don't. It's not the caricature that you hear about in the news. This is a guy who would go on a construction site with a hard hat and shake their hands and thank them for their work. Ivanka told me that she was taught how to use the machinery on a construction site when she was a kid. And she's teaching Arabella the same thing. These are strong people with an incredibly strong work ethic. And if anybody has any question about Donald Trump and who he is as a man, all you need to do is look at his kids. The proof is in the pudding. None of them, not a one of them have an alcohol problem, a drug problem, a run-in with the law, a domestic violence problem. They have a work ethic that's crazier than their dad's, and I know their dad's work ethic. He used to call my house all the time when my then husband was his lawyer. We used to fly down to Palm Beach, and on the plane, he'd say to the kids, don't talk to her like that, you don't talk to him like that. You just lost your allowance. And we're going, I said this earlier, I'd forgotten it, we're going to Kmart to get school supplies. And I remember thinking, Donald Trump goes to Kmart? I don't go to Kmart. You know, I mean, he's real. But in addition, they both understood the importance of the economy. And right now, we're at a 4.1 GDP and going up, folks. We are going up. Ronald Reagan, a 6, he went up to 7. As a result, consumer confidence at an incredible historic highs. The stock market now higher than it's ever been. Animal instincts, or animal spirits, I always say instincts. For you economists out there, I never understood the economy. I was never good at that. But, you know, the energy, the enthusiasm, the belief in America, all of the two of them, they shared so many common denominators. Both of them were Democrats before they became Republicans. All kinds of similarities and parallels. And what's interesting is both of them were anti-establishment. The establishment and the media were after Ronald Reagan. Both of them suffered from untruths. But it took a guy in marketing to identify fake news. It took a guy in marketing to get Americans to come along with him to understand the untruths that were being printed. And in my book, Liars and Leakers, I talk about one of the elections I was in for about 6 weeks. I ran against Hillary Clinton, and I got out of it. I didn't run against her. I mean, there were several people who ended up in a primary. But I remember coming out of a dairy, and for those of you who don't know me, I worked in a dairy. I grew up in upstate New York, which is very different from where I work in Midtown Manhattan these days. But I went to a dairy, and I came out, and one of my press people said to me in the car, they said, Jeanine, there's already an article on what happened at the dairy farm. And I'm like, really? What'd it say? And it said nothing that I said. But they alleged that I said X, Y, and Z. And I remember sitting in the car. I didn't realize that it was fake news. But I said, how can I possibly run against someone where the fix is in? It's already rigged. They're saying I said things that I never said, that I did things that I never did 5 minutes ago. And that's when I knew that I was not going to run against this woman. It just wasn't worth it, because I had spent more than 3 decades as a prosecutor, a judge, and a DA. And as John said, I came up in the rough and tumble world of politics in New York State, which is a blood sport, and I have the scars to prove it. New York is unique in that regard, but what we're seeing now is something that we've never seen before. We've got a mainstream media, and we've got a Democrat Party that is totally unhinged. What they are doing, today is an affront to democracy, to the republic, to the American flag, and the American people. You know, one of the things that Donald Trump is famous for is that hat, MAGA, Make America Great Again. In 1980, when he was beginning his presidential campaign, it was Ronald Reagan who said, I can and I will make America great again. The two of them The parallels are uncanny. But I think that what this president is seeing is an effort to create this false narrative that so many people have bought into, that people just repeat what they hear. A media that has no self-reproach, no self-regulation. They just do and write whatever they want. They source it anonymously, like the New York Times did today, in that opinion piece to the letter to the editor. And nobody identifies who they are. And you have to wonder, are they real people? Is it the deep state? Who is it? Is it George Soros? Who's paying for this? What is going on is dangerous. I'm going to start with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I know. Payback, it's a bummer. They tried to drag a corrupt criminal hag across the presidential finish line in 2016. She was as corrupt as they come, and she spent her life dancing with federal prosecutors, and no one knew better than Hillary Clinton about the requirements of classified secrets. She was trained when she was First Lady. She was trained when she was a United States Senator. She was trained when she was Secretary of State. She had to sign these non-disclosures. She agreed to all of this. And yet, she has this personal server. And she says, like we're all idiots, she says, the Secret Service was monitoring it. Are you stupid? The Secret Service was at the door to your home, not at the door to your server. People bought it. So you have to say to yourself, as I did, why did she need a personal server? And the prosecutor in me said, because she wants to do something she doesn't want us to know about. I can't move around on this apple box. So, think about it. When you want to hide something, when you want to commit a criminal act, you have to do it in the quiet of the night, or where there are no cameras, or where there is no identification. Take it from any career criminal. You never commit a crime in plain sight. So, she sets up this server. The reason she set up a private server was so she could continue to get millions, and some say billions of dollars, into the Clinton Foundation, a 501c3, which was operating as a charity, which was nothing more than an organized criminal enterprise. It was pay to play. We lived in a nation, and we watched it, where American foreign policy was decided based on the cash going into the Clinton Foundation. And don't let anyone tell you anything else. You knew it. Americans instinctively knew it. That's why we elected the outsider president. We knew it, we could feel it, and if nobody was going to prove it, we would do it at the polls. And that's what we did in 2016. And thank you. Now, Jim Comey. I know Jim Comey. His office was right next to mine. He was the United States Attorney in the Southern District. I was elected DA. All right? We did cases together. I like the guy. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. What's relevant is that he's smart. He's very, very smart. He knew the Justice Department. He was the Deputy Attorney General, and there is no way under the sun that a man of his intelligence wouldn't understand that an investigation of a national figure needed to be done in the grand jury. But there was no grand jury impaneled. There were no search warrants. There were no subpoenas. And they handed out immunity like candy. Do you know what immunity is? Do you know what? We all know. Well, I guess you're not supposed to walk around. Where's John? John, I'm not supposed to walk around. I got caught in there. Immunity. Immunity. You do this all the time. You give what's called a queen for a day. Are there any cops in the audience? Oh, wait, I love it. That's it? Well, this is California. All right, sorry. I mean, God bless you. Thank you for what you do. Military. You got any military in here? Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. All right, so queen for a day. They come in and they say, we got this. We have this information. Give us immunity. We will testify for you if you give us a deal. That's the way it works. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. They gave everybody immunity. They gave it to Uma Abedin, Cheryl Mills. They gave it to Brian Pagliano, who set up the server. They gave it to everybody. And Jim Comey gets up and he says, July 5th, 2016, no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute this case. Give me a break, Jim. Who you think you're kidding? And he made a fool of himself when he said, well, gross negligence and recklessness and all that. He couldn't really describe it. He said he didn't really have experience in that. It was a state law. He's full of it. Now, he knows that as the head of the FBI, he cannot speak for Loretta Lynch, the district attorney. And he says Loretta Lynch had no idea he was doing this. He lied. He lied. Loretta Lynch said she and Bill Clinton spoke only about their grandchildren and playing golf. An assistant DA in my office, if an assistant DA who worked for me had a conversation with his spouse of someone under active criminal investigation for 30 minutes, I would fire the person. Forget about anything else. I would fire him. This is fundamental. And they do it in front of all of us. And that's what's so infuriating. I hate it when people lie. I hate it when they make believe, oh, the law is the same. It's not. They took the bandages off Lady Justice and they said, you're going to protect the Democrats. And then they said, we're going to frame the Republican. And that's what my book is about. My book is not just about Donald Trump, the man I know. It's not just about the media and the Hollywood hypocrites. I could go on, and we're going to open it up to questions in a few minutes. But the book makes it clear what happened. There is a deep state. I don't know if any of you ever watched The View. Well, I think it's when Whoopi Goldberg said, what is the deep state and who's in charge? And that's, I think, when the wheels fell off the wagon. The first segment was pretty good, but the second was not so good. But it's fine. I don't really care. But it was a microcosm of what goes on in this country every day when the left tries to shut down the right. You are not allowed to speak. You are not allowed to say something that is pro-Trump, pro-American flag, pro-law and order, anti-crime. I don't know what happened. What happened to America? My father is a veteran of World War II. He was on the first ship to Nagasaki. He saw the plume. He died very young of head and neck cancer. My grandfather was in World War II also. We believe in America and we believe in the flag. We believe that no one is above the law and no one is below the law. These people are different. They think, for whatever reason, whether it's a Peter Strzok or an Andrew McCabe or a Jim Comey or a Jim Rybicki, all of those players, Bruce Orr, and I'm going to open it up to questions, and I'll get specific if you want me to. They believe that they are above the law. They believe that the establishment needs to be kept in place, the status quo. They don't believe in you and me. And very much like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump has had to fight the establishment. But I'm telling you right now, he is the tip of the spear, and every day he gets incoming like I've never seen. I don't know how the man gets up every morning and fights a good fight. They go after his wife, his children, his youngest child. They go after everything he does. They would indict all of them if they could. And do you want to explain to me why Paul Manafort, I could care less about this guy one way or the other. I don't know the guy. They break down the door at 5 in the morning for a tax case. They put the guy in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day before he even goes to trial. And these bozos are all walking around covering for each other? You should be furious. They all need to be taken out in cuffs. They don't deserve the freedom that they have right now. And I want to say one more thing. I talked about my dad and my granddad. One of the things that we always had in front of our home was a flag. We still have the flag in front of my home. I get really angry when I hear about people like Colin Kaepernick. I mean, first of all, he wasn't even a good football player. What is going on with that? Who the hell is he? Why is he representative of all this greatness where he takes a knee? What are you taking a knee for? Who are you? You're taking a knee for social justice? Well, you tell me the last time you fought for social justice. You tell me the last time you called your congressman. Tell me the last time you voted, the last time you sat on a jury, the last time you wrote a letter, went to the school board. You tell me. He can't because he didn't. And they make up this narrative, oh, we're all about social justice. Baloney! You're not about social justice. You're about tearing down the fabric of America, which was started in the FBI by some schmuck by the name of Peter Strzok and his gumad Lisa Page. All right? They thought they could take down America, and they almost did. And this is where you come in. We need you. We need the young one, too, wherever he is. We need him. If you think 2016 was important, 2018 is more important because they are geared up. They are ready to roll. And I don't care if it's a local election, a county election, a state election, or a national election. You've got to get out there. Socialists are running for office all over this country. And if you want to work the rest of your life to pay for someone else, most of whom don't even deserve to be here in the first place, then you can bypass these elections. But if you care about what's in your pocket, you've got to get out there. Now, so now we have Colin Kaepernick. That's where I'm going. I'm going to do my open on Nike unless something breaks on Saturday. Who the hell do they think they are? Why do they think that it is in the interest of an American company to take a knee and disrespect the flag? Why is this narrative selling? Who is pushing it? Who is buying it? I don't know. It's not just the left, it's socialists. It's people who don't believe in the Constitution and the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. These are people who hate America. They want to make us a globalist country. These are people who believe that, like California, it should be a sanctuary state where American citizens are at risk. You are at risk in a sanctuary state. I'm here to tell you that. I don't have to tell you what the reality is, but let me take another minute. What is a sanctuary city, state, county? It's where you don't arrest illegals who commit crime, right? It's worse. where you don't allow a cop with a warrant or a Fed with a warrant to come in and make an arrest. So, for example, when I'm the DA, my guys would get a call, and they would say, so-and-so is going to be let out of jail. You put him in jail, and we want to pick him up on a federal warrant. Okay. So tell my guys, you work with Arizona, work with wherever. They want Joe Schmo to be picked up. So my guys might even hold him an extra 72 hours if the guys from the warrant squad in the other state or county couldn't get there. What they are doing in sanctuary places, they're not only not cooperating and accommodating, they are letting them out early so the feds don't pick them up or the other locals, or they are telling them a different time, letting them out a side door, which then, I want you to think about the consequence. Then the feds have to go in to a jurisdiction where the cops are not allowed to assist. And don't let anybody tell you that, oh, they just can't tell them where the guy is. That's baloney. There's a stand down. There's a stand down where the mayor or the county executive or whatever it is says to the cops, you do not cooperate. You're in jeopardy in that situation. And did you notice how Molly Tibbetts, she's in the newspaper every day, until they found out it was an illegal alien who killed her. And then we never heard about it again. And make no mistake, we're all illegals. Oh, good, Jeanine. We're all immigrants, but we're legal immigrants. We are legal. We offer something to America. You know, I used to swear in newly naturalized citizens when I was a judge. It was wonderful. These people are so proud. They learn the Constitution. They learn the presidents. They wave the flag. They thank God. They bring their mother, their father, their sister, everybody from the neighborhood. I'm going to be an American citizen today. They swear allegiance to our country. Today, it's totally different. I'm illegal and I'm here. And I want housing and medication and education, and I want you to give me every constitutional right. And you know what? I don't have a problem with people who love their own subculture. Every one of us should be proud of our heritage. I am. Every one of us. If you want to fly the flag of another country on your car while you hate America and burn the flag of the United States, and you then kick and scream if we decide that you should be deported back to the country of the flag that's flying on your car, and you say, I want my constitutional rights, that makes me angry. And it should make you angry. And you know what? For all of them, for all those people who want to drive around with the flag of their country, God bless you. I got no problem with that. But don't you dare say, damn America. Don't you dare burn our flag. Don't you dare criticize us for our rules. Because if you don't like it here, go to hell back where you came from. True. It's true. It's true. Don't tell me you hate my country. People go and fight wars, and they come back with fewer limbs than they left America with. They live a life of pain, they and their spouses and their children and everyone around them. And you hate America? Who the hell are you to hate America? We never invited you in the first place. So, yeah. I have very strong feelings about most things. But I grew up in upstate New York. I worked in a dairy. My dad loved my mom loved my dad. Everything was fine. I went to school, education, God, church. It was all part of my narrative. And then I was in law enforcement for over 3 decades. And I learned to love Lady Justice and the flag and America. and everyone in this room loves the same things that I do. All we want is the ability to take care of our families, maybe our kids to be lawyers like us, or whatever. My daughter's a lawyer, that's why I say that. My son's in finance. I never understand what he does. Everybody says, what does your son do? I don't know. He does something with numbers. I don't know. We just want to dream, and we want to be safe. We want to practice the religion that we believe in. We want to be able to say, you know what, I'm a Christian, and damn it, I'm proud of it. Or I'm a Jew, and damn it, I'm proud of it. Or I'm a Muslim, and I'm proud of it. But don't you dare ignore the fact that this is a nation founded on Judeo-Christian ethics. That's who we are. And when Barack Obama, at that first national prayer breakfast, said, and that's when the hairs on the back of my neck went bing, he says, right after the beheading by ISIS of an American, I forget which one it was. It was Stephen, I'm not sure which one it is. I'm pretty sure I put it in the book. He says, all you Christians, get off your high horse. Crimes were committed in the name of Christ. Are you kidding me? Did you hear what he just said? I remember saying to someone, did you hear what he just said? He said it's our turn. It's our turn. Christ was behind the Jim Crow laws. Christ is behind the murder of so many innocent people. This guy is our president. This guy brought in 8 years of people. We don't have any idea who they are, where they are. They were flown in from different areas all over the country. Central America, MS-13, if you're from New York, I mean, they're all over the place. I knew what they were because I used to prosecute them. To get into MS-13, you got to kill someone or rape someone in front of other members and then kill her. That's MS-13. And you know what? They are animals. Donald Trump gets criticized for calling that. They are animals. So anyway, I'm going to do my open on Nike. And I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. But here's the thing. When I finish, I'm going to say, just do it. Okay? All right. Let's open it up to questions. John, I'm ready.
I bet you there's a question or two out there. If what you could do is raise your hand, as you can see, we have folks with microphones, and just wait until we have a mic in your hand, and we'll go right over here.
I want to say one more thing while she gets the mic. Ronald Reagan has one of the greatest quotes, and I quote it all the time. There are two people I quote. Elie Wiesel, who was a friend of mine that I knew, and Ronald Reagan. The Ronald Reagan quote is very simple. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We don't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. He left us with a very strong message. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Your Honor. Welcome to California.
Thank you.
It's my birthday, and this is the best day ever. So
Oh,
I'm excited.
thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I wanted to know, I'm from California, and I feel like we're drowning as far as the politics are concerned, and with Newsom and with Brown, it's like, how do we survive? What do we do? I know we can get out and vote, but I feel like we're such a minority that it's I don't know, I feel helpless sometimes. What do you suggest?
You know, it makes sense that you feel helpless, because if you live in a state where illegals have more rights than American citizens, where the Kate Steinleys of the world can look at their dad and say, help me before they die, in a state where a guy received sanctuary and came, not at that time, it wasn't a sanctuary state, but came to San Francisco because it was sanctuary, you should feel helpless. What can you do? It's very simple. Everything is grassroots. Everything. You've got social media today. It is incredibly powerful. And like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump believed in messaging. Well, Donald Trump obviously has Twitter and the social media that we have today, but Ronald Reagan believed in the same concept. You've got to get millennials. From K through 12 and then through college, law school, graduate school, Berkeley, everywhere. They are brainwashing people. They are convincing people that you shouldn't have to work. You can live off of rich people's money, but as Margaret Thatcher once said, socialism is great until you run out of the other people's money. But what you can do, to me, you go into the old age homes. You know, I used to do that when I ran for office right before the election, and you tell them, you know, they have to vote. A lot of them may not vote. You got to get that segment to vote. You got to get the millennials to vote. Don't just say I'm in California, it's not worth it. You got to stop the local who is a socialist. That's what's happening. It's kind of like the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the political arm of Hamas. All right, I'm not going to waste time on that here. We got too much to talk about. But you've got to stop them, because Bernie Sanders, a socialist, would have been the Democratic candidate for president of the United States, but for Hillary Clinton rigging the DNC. So that's the only thing I can say. You're welcome. Happy birthday. Yes, hi.
As a friend of Donald Trump, and you love him, and we love him, but he's attacked every day. Does he know how much support he has out here?
You know, that is such a great question, and I appreciate the thought behind the question. I tell him that every time I talk to him. I say, you know, and I spoke to him just a few days ago, and I remember saying to him, how are you? Was it last week with this book? I don't know what day it is. You know, we had the Manafort conviction. You had Michael Cohen. That was, he'd say that, you know, he's responsible for sinking the Titanic, a piece of garbage. But he, I think, and I know, can take anything. He can take, we spoke about this. He said, I fought my whole life for everything. I fought for everything. And he said to me, I feel bad for my kids. He said, I signed up for this. My kids didn't. And every day it's like, Donald Jr., is he going to be indicted? And then, it's Ivanka, it's Jared, you know, it's, and I'm not even talking about dumping, I'm talking about bringing charges. This guy, Mueller, and the rest of them, I'll leave that up to you if you want to ask about it. But I think he knows, and I say to him all the time, Donald, you have incredible support. Everywhere I go, people love you. Everywhere I go, people, yeah, absolutely, and thank you. Thank you. You know, we always have sold-out crowds because people know that I love the man. I love who he is and what he stands for. So I tell him that all the time. And he doesn't need to hear it. He really doesn't. He just says, I got to do this and I got to do that. I mean, you know, think about everything that he's done. I mean, he's an incredible president. Anyway, thank you. And I'll give him the message. Okay.
Judge?
I'm RJ from California, and what's going on with Mueller and Manafort, that's straight out of the DOJ FBI playbook. That's been going on since Enron and the Merrill Lynch wrongful convictions. I'm not going to waste time with all of that. How can these people, Weissman, Rumler, you name them, how can they still be in the highest echelons of the DOJ and the FBI and in the middle of all of this corruption? I read License to Lie, and I see what's going on, and it just makes me very angry when Manafort, yeah. Who knows, who cares, but
okay.
He doesn't belong in.
I got it. All right. It reminds me, my daughter said to me, and she's a young lawyer, she said, Ma, have you ever heard of Chappaquiddick? And I said, yeah. And I'm waiting, you know, she's young, they're different. I said, Kiki, why? She said, and she's not a criminal lawyer, she's, you know, big shot Manhattan lawyer, big law firm partner. And she says, how did he get away with it? How did they let him get away with it, Ma? Isn't it murder? And I said, well, technically, Kiki, it's criminally negligent homicide or reckless manslaughter. It's not actual murder, unless you could prove that he intended to drive over that bridge with her in the car. But aside from all that technical stuff, I said, Kiki, it is the same that we're watching right now when your daughter is going to say to you, how did Hillary Clinton get away with it? When everyone knew and everyone watched and no one did anything. Now, the reason they get away with it, the reason that no one is being held accountable is because of some schmuck from Alabama. His name is Jeff Sessions, and he is the Attorney General. And I like the guy. He's a gentleman. He's a Southern gentleman. Nice guy. I don't know what's motivating him. All I know is that the deep state blew smoke at him and convinced him to recuse himself. As a result of his recusing himself, we have James Comey, who lied to Congress, who should be prosecuted. Peter Strzok, obstruction of justice. Andrew McCabe, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, lying to Congress. And I'd be here all night if I started with Hillary Clinton and what she could be charged with. Besides destroying evidence, and on and on and on, all federal crimes. He is the shield, the front. And last weekend, I think it was, I did my open, I said, I was wild. The guy issues a statement saying, I stand for justice, Mr. President. You don't stand for anything. You don't stand for anything, Jeff Sessions. You are preventing American people from seeing justice being done. And it's not because they're Democrats or Republicans. It's people who disrespect the law. So you say, why doesn't Donald Trump fire him? Now, last week, he said, I won't fire him before the midterm. I don't know what it says to you, but it says something to me. But I think we have to win the midterms. All right? These people need to be punished, but they probably won't be. And the only way for you to get justice is to vote in 2018. Okay. I don't see.
Judge, thank you for coming out.
Where are you? Oh, there
Way
you
up
are.
here.
Hi. Yes, thank you.
I'm in the cheap seats.
Yeah.
2 points. The first is you are a rock star.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm not, but thank you. Yeah.
The second point, if you were Attorney General, what would be your battle plan for correcting the injustices?
It's very simple. It's very simple. The first thing I do is I revoke the immunity that was given to all the dirtbags in the Hillary Clinton case. That's number one. And just so you know, there are grounds for revocation of every one of them, because I've looked into it. Number two, you impanel a grand jury and start cooking. All you need to do is say to them, vote. There's enough in those emails and text messages and congressional hearings to convict most of those guys. Number three, you need to make sure that everyone is reviewed. You don't just let people stay in a job because they've been there. If you are in a job and you're not performing, then you get fired. There's no reason, other than the law, why federal employees don't suffer the same consequence. And we've got to change that. We've got to change the deep state. And that's what I do. Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming, Judge.
Thank you.
I'm Bob. I'm a native of Los Angeles. I have a statement to make. I want to tell you that I have loved, admired, and respected you from the first time I ever saw you.
Thank you.
And I want to tell, I learn something more about you all the time. I want to compliment you. There's a word missing in the language today in 2018, and it's class.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you. No, but thank you.
And you exhibited that with that tramp, Whoopi Goldberg. You know, I'm in professional sports, and we have a saying in the locker rooms: you don't get in a pissing contest with a skunk. And you exhibited that unbelievable. And I just want to compliment you. That made me absolutely love you more.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just quickly say something. When I got off the stage and I went down, Whoopi had, and I had co-hosted that show before, by the way. And I'd been on for my other books, but Whoopi had said something on the stage, I don't remember it exactly right now, but she said something like, you know, you and Trump don't care about victims. And that just, you know, my blood pressure went up because I have spent my life crusading for the crime victim, the underdog, the victim of domestic violence, child abuse, elderly, you name it, that's been my passion. So I said, Whoopi, I have fought for victims my whole life. That's the one thing I said to her. And she said, are there kids in here? All right. She said, F you. And there were all kinds of people there. And I said, did you just say F you? She said, yeah. Now get the F out of the building. I'm standing there with my editor from the publishing house, and hair and makeup, and they're like this. Now, I mean, I love to fight. I love to go toe-to-toe with most people, but I'm like, let's just go. I was very calm at that point. I said, let's just go. And as we started to get ready to just walk out, she followed me yelling, get the F out of the building. The point of my telling you this is this. When ABC, a network, tolerates that, and they don't even apologize, there is trouble. And I need you to hear that. I need you to know it. It's not about the book. It's not about me. It's about the left and the media being convinced they not only can shut us up, they can curse at us, they can throw us out. They don't care if you're a judge, you're a DA, you're a woman, you're an older woman, whatever, they don't care. And that's what we're dealing with today.
Judge, it's truly great to just be here and listen to you. And as a clergy person, I got to say, as a preacher, you know, I've learned that you can't serve two masters. And I've seen a lot of finances from George Soros and others infiltrating the churches and the ACLU and other spaces that are funding liberals to do wonderful things to just tear apart the nation. And the churches used to be a safe place where we could go, many institutional spaces like the church where we could go and get good news. And we used to be able to get it from the press. And we used to get it from higher education. We can get it from Fox. But where else can we go to get truth and integrity so we can learn about justice again for this country and what we can do? What do you recommend?
Thank you for the question, but you scare me with that question. When you include the churches, when you include the clergy, the religious leaders who are being told, you know, let's be ecumenical. You know, ecumenical pretty much means these days that you can take the Little Sisters of the Poor to the United States Supreme Court, sisters who spend their life taking care of poor and people in hospice. I don't know. The truth has to come from you. You have an enormous voice now that you never had before with social media, and that's why Donald Trump took advantage of it. He goes around the media. We've got to get into the schools. We've got to get in K through 12. I don't even know why we have a Department of Education. I don't. It should be something that the locals take care of within their local jurisdictions. And, you know, one of the things, I was at a luncheon today and I said I was with a justice from the circuit court, the Ninth Circuit, also known as the Ninth Circus. No, he was a good guy. He's a good guy. But I referenced, in my courtroom, above my bench, it said, "In God we trust." Now, you can't say a prayer, you can't have a creche, you can't say all the things like Merry Christmas, although with Donald Trump it's looser. But I think that now it's up to us. I don't know how else or what else to tell you, but education, that's where it starts. That's where we gotta go. Okay. One more? Okay.
Just one last question.
I like your hat.
Thank you. I was watching the confirmation hearings of Judge Brett Kavanaugh today, and how lucky Trump is to be able to appoint not one but two for our Supreme Courts. What are your thoughts on Brett Kavanaugh?
Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
The guy's extremely competent. I mean, come up with some decision that makes no sense. He is competent. He's a regular guy next door. He coaches. He loves baseball, or is it football? What is it, honey? Baseball? Whatever. He bought a lot of tickets. He's going to make it. I wouldn't worry about it. But the most interesting part of it all, she called us deplorable. The people on the left have turned into unhinged, uncivilized deplorables. And you know what? The more they yell and scream, starting with Kamala Harris, the more they yell and scream, the more we dig in. Okay? That's what I think. And by the way, I think this president is going to get at least another one, if not another two. God willing. All right. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for who you are. And God bless you. I thank God.